Here you go, little buddy. Try this. Good stuff, right?
More, please.
All right, one more bite. Here you go, buddy. Whoa, easy there. Plenty for everyone.
On the edge of the spiral arm, far beyond the maps of old Earth, the exploration vessel Safina Dawn drifted quietly through the stars. It had one mission: peaceful first contact. Captain Ashur Rahman had prepared for many possibilities: advanced civilizations, hostile fleets, ancient ruins, but she had not prepared for small alien cubs who loved corndogs. The planet was catalogued as Kepler-442c-II. A soft blue-green world with silver oceans and lavender forests. The atmosphere was breathable, the gravity gentle. When the first contact team landed, they expected to meet diplomats or scientists. Instead, they found children. The alien cubs were about the size of human toddlers, round and fluffy with wide golden eyes. Their shimmering fur shifted colors like oil on water. They stood on two legs, wobbling slightly, their tails curling and uncurling in excitement. They made soft chiming sounds like wind through glass. Dr. Mateo Alvarez knelt slowly, hands open. "We come in peace," he said gently, activating the universal translator. The device flickered, trying to process the musical language. The cubs just tilted their heads. Then one of them toddled forward and poked his boot. The translator chirped uncertainly. "Hungry?" It offered. The cub blinked. Then its fur flashed a bright, vivid pink. Behind them, the trees rustled. Larger figures watched from the shadows, tall, elegant beings with luminous markings across their skin, the adults. They did not approach, but they did not attack either. Aisha made a decision. "Let's try food," she whispered. Back on Earth, there had been endless debates about what to bring for first contact. Nutrient paste? Fresh fruit? Protein bars? In the end, someone from Texas had insisted on adding a small cultural selection, which was how, in the middle of an alien meadow, humanity offered its first interstellar corndog. Dr. Alvarez carefully removed one from a portable heater. The scent of fried batter and savory sausage drifted into the air. The cubs froze. Their fur shimmered neon gold. One gave a high-chiming squeal. The translator struggled, then finally produced a clear word. "Joy!" The cub closest to Mateo reached out with tiny clawed fingers. He hesitated only a second before handing it over. The cub sniffed it, licked it, and then took a bite. Time stopped. The adults in the trees stiffened. The human crew collectively held their breath. The cub's eyes widened. Its fur exploded into a cascade of colors so bright it almost hurt to look at. It let out a delighted trill that echoed across the clearing. Within seconds, the other cubs swarmed forward. "Careful!" Aisha laughed nervously. Small bites. But it was too late. Corn dogs were distributed with the reverence of sacred artifacts. The cubs nibbled eagerly, their little tails wagging, their musical laughter filling the air. The translator began picking up more phrases. "Warm happiness," "crunch cloud," "stick treat." Mateo blinked. "Crunch cloud?" Another cub toddled up and tugged on Aisha's pant leg, holding up the half-eaten corn dog like a treasure. Its fur pulsed a soft blue. The translator hummed. "Friend food?" Aisha's throat tightened. "Yes," she whispered. "Friend food." From the forest's edge, one of the adult aliens finally stepped forward. It was tall and slender, with graceful limbs and glowing markings tracing patterns across its silver skin. Its eyes were deep and intelligent. It studied the scene carefully, the cubs laughing, the humans kneeling peacefully, the strange golden food being shared. One cub ran up to the adult and held out a corn dog insistently. The cub chimed urgently. The translator managed a rough interpretation. "You must try. It tastes like safety." Aisha felt something shift in the air. The adult slowly knelt. It accepted the offering. Carefully, cautiously, it tasted the corn dog. Its luminous markings flickered. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, softly, the glowing patterns along its skin brightened. Not explosively like the cubs, but gently, warmly, like sunrise. The adult looked at Aisha. The translator worked harder than ever before, processing layered harmonics and subtle tonal shifts. Finally, it spoke, "You bring nourishment. You feed our young before seeking to rule. This is new," Aisha swallowed. "We don't want to rule anyone." The adult studied her face, then the remaining corn dogs in the warming case. "Our young declare your species acceptable," Mateo blinked. "That's good?" The cubs had finished their treats and were now sitting in a loose circle around the humans, with expectant expressions on their fluffy faces. One chimed loudly. The translator beeped, "More crunch cloud?" The human crew burst into laughter, the tension finally breaking. Over the next few hours, something remarkable happened. The cubs showed the humans their favorite hiding spots among the lavender trees. They demonstrated games involving glowing moss that changed color when touched. They brought strange, sweet-smelling fruits as offerings in return, and the humans shared more food. Not just corn dogs, but bread, fruit preserves, and small squares of chocolate that made the cubs' fur sparkle silver. The adults observed everything. They asked careful, thoughtful questions through the translator about Earth, about humanity's intentions, about whether humans always fed children first. "Yes," Aisha said firmly. "Always. It wasn't entirely true. Human history was messy and flawed, but in that moment, it was the truth they wanted to live up to." As the twin suns began to set, painting the sky in streaks of violet and amber, the tallest of the adults approached the humans. "You may return," it said through the translator. "You will be welcomed." Aisha felt tears sting her eyes. "Thank you." The adult inclined its head. "Our young will remember the taste of your offering." In our culture, the first shared meal binds stories together. Your story is now tied to ours. Behind them, a cub tugged at Mateo's pant leg again. He looked down. The cub held up an empty stick, the wooden handle of a finished corn dog, and chirped. The translator delivered the message clearly this time. "When you come back, bring many crunch clouds." Mateo laughed, wiping at his eyes. "Deal." As the shuttle lifted off, the humans looked down at the glowing meadow below. The cubs waved their tiny arms, their fur shimmering like living rainbows. First contact had not been secured with weapons or grand speeches. It had begun with something simple, something warm, something shared. Back aboard the Safina Dawn, Aisha filed her official report. Initial contact successful. Diplomatic relations promising. Recommend future envoys include agricultural specialists, cultural historians, and significantly increased corn dog production. She paused, then added one final line. Conclusion. The fastest way to peace may not be through power or technology, but through feeding someone as children and proving you mean no harm. Far below, in a lavender forest on a distant world, small alien cubs slept peacefully, dreaming of stars, new friends, and the unforgettable taste of crunch clouds. And across the vast dark of space, a new friendship quietly began. Thanks for joining us for this story. If you enjoyed this journey into the stars, don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time. Last time, we left our little alien cubs, Zorp and Zib, just as they discovered the magnificent human food known as the corn dog. Their tiny ship, disguised as a garden gnome, was parked right next to a bustling county fair. They had managed to snag one corn dog, and its crispy, savory sweet perfection had rocked their tiny, three-eyed world. But one corn dog for two growing cubs? That was never going to be enough. Now, huddled in their cockpit, Zorp was meticulously analyzing a half-eaten corn dog crumb under the ship's microscanner. "Fascinating," he chirped, his voice a series of high-pitched whistles. "The outer layer is a complex carbohydrate matrix, fried to golden perfection. The inner cylinder is a protein composite. It's beautiful." Zib, on the other hand, was less interested in the science and more in the acquisition. He was staring out the porthole, his little green tummy rumbling a low, sad tune. "Analysis is great, Zorp, but my flavor receptors are demanding another sample. Urgently." Their mission was clear: acquire more corn dogs. Operation Golden Stick was a go. "Zorp, the brains of the operation, pulled up a schematic of the fairgrounds. He identified the primary target, a bright red and yellow stand with a giant smiling corndog mascot on the roof. There, he pointed with a tiny three-fingered hand. That's the corndog nexus, the source. But there was a problem. The stand was swarming with giant humans. A direct approach was too risky. They needed a plan. Zib, ever the cub of action, had an idea. He pointed towards the game's midway. Look, the humans are distracted. They're throwing balls at stacks of cans and shooting water into clown mouths. It's primitive, but it's the perfect diversion. Zorp's third eye blinked rapidly as he processed the data. A diversion, yes. We can use their own strange rituals against them. Their plan was simple, yet brilliant. They would use the ship's mini tractor beam, normally used for collecting rock samples, to cause a little bit of chaos. Zorp would operate the beam from the ship, while Zib would be the ground agent, ready to snatch the goods when the opportunity arose. Zib put on his human disguise, a discarded bottle cap worn as a hat. He thought it made him look very inconspicuous. Zorp just shook his head and engaged the systems. Peeking out of the gnome's base, Zib gave the signal. Zorp aimed the tractor beam at the ring toss game. With a gentle hum, a whole rack of colorful rings lifted into the air, hovered for a moment, and then neatly settled onto every single bottle. Winner! We have a winner! The game operator yelled in disbelief as a crowd quickly gathered to see the impossible feat. This was their chance. While the humans were mesmerized by the ring toss miracle, Zib zipped across the pavement, his little legs a blur. He was a tiny, green, bottle cap-wearing streak of purpose. He reached the corndog stand. The glorious smell was overwhelming. He could see rows and rows of them, resting under a heat lamp like golden scepters. The vendor was momentarily distracted, craning his neck to see the commotion at the ring toss game. Zib knew he had to act fast. But how could a cub his size possibly carry a whole corndog? They were bigger than he was. He spotted a solution, a discarded drinking straw. Perfect. Using all his strength, he wedged the straw under one end of a fresh-waiting corndog. He pushed and heaved. It was like a little alien lumberjack trying to move a giant sequoia. The corndog teetered on the edge of the tray. A little help? He squeaked into his communicator. Back in the ship, Zorp saw his brother's struggle. Engaging precision assistance, he announced, locking the tractor beam onto the corndog. With a whisper-quiet hum, the corndog floated gently off the tray, suspended in midair. Zib's jaw dropped. He hadn't expected this level of support. The floating corndog, guided by Zorp, began to glide slowly and majestically away from the stand. Zib ran underneath it, just in case, his hands outstretched like a one-cub safety net. It was a sight to behold. A single levitating corndog sailing through the fairgrounds, completely unnoticed by the distracted humans. It floated over the Ferris wheel, past the cotton candy machine, and straight towards the garden gnome. With a final, gentle maneuver, Zorp guided the corndog through the hidden entrance at the base of the gnome. It landed softly on the cockpit floor. Zib scrambled in right after it, his eyes wide with triumph. They had done it. Operation Golden Stick was a resounding success. The prize was even more beautiful than the first one. It was plump, perfectly golden, and still warm. They didn't even bother with the scanner this time. They broke it in half, the crisp shell making a delightful cracking sound. As they sat there, munching on their hard-earned feast, they looked out at the bright lights and bustling crowds of the human fair. These creatures were strange, with their loud noises and bizarre games. But any species that could invent something as wonderful as a corndog, they decided, was a species worth studying. Zorp updated his mission log. Humanity's greatest technological achievement is not their primitive spacecraft or their global communication networks. It is a fried food item on a stick. Further research is absolutely essential. Zib, with his mouth full, just nodded in enthusiastic agreement. Their mission on Earth was far from over. In fact, it was just getting delicious.